So thank you again for everyone for joining us today. My name is Henrietta and I'm the project manager. It's wonderful to have you here, and we are really looking forward to walking you through everything you need to know about the business advisory grants under the Community Housing Futures program. But before we start, we begin by acknowledging the Whadjuk Noongar people as the traditional custodians of the land and waters we are zooming in from. We pay our respect to the elders past, present, and emerging, and we recognize the deep and enduring connections that First Nations people have to country. That acknowledgement isn't just a formality to us, it shapes the way we think about this program and communities it's designed to serve. So before we start, let me set the scene because we have been operating since April. Between April and May this year, CHFWA took the Community Housing Futures WA program on the road. And we run events from Geraldton to Busselton to Broome, and including in Perth, including one dedicated session with Aboriginal community housing organisation co-hosted with CHFWA. We sat down with dozens of organizations across 6 weeks and asked 4 consistent questions. What does the sector need right now? What would make this program genuinely more useful? What's holding organizations back? And what does a better WA look like in 5 years? What came back was consistent, urgent, and at times confronting, but we're really appreciating the open conversations that we were able to have with our stakeholders. Organizations have told us that the registration system, while well-intended, had become a structural barrier to some, particularly for smaller organizations in the regions and of course, some of the Aboriginal controlled organizations. Not of course, but they had some issues there too. That there is a critical shortage of housing stock, especially 1 and 2 bedroom dwellings, and that there is no funding for planned or early development phases that every housing project needs before it can get off the ground. So that was one of the big barriers. People also told us what they wanted: simpler, more accessible programs, easier acquittals, simpler application forms, practical support, and not just future commitments. So the business advisory grants won't solve every problems, but we are directly responding to these needs. And we wanted to make sure that we do and we are ready to do more and support more of the organization's ambitions, capacity to build their own capabilities. We know it isn't about ambition, capacity, or people. It's the funding and the resources they want to spend on building capabilities to plan, to make model finances, to manage assets, to navigate registrations, because often than not, that's not funded. So that's why this grant is here, is then designed to support that capacity and capability uplift. This program is administered by CHFWA, so just a little bit of reminder, and of course supported by the WA government through the Department of Work, Housing and Works. So let me walk you through now the grant. Allows me. Yep. So in its core, the business grant is a targeted, time-limited funding that helps organizations to strengthen the internal capabilities, what they need to grow. It's not operational funding. It's not funding to keep the lights on. It's investment in your organization ability to do more, to plan ahead, to manage more assets, to strengthen your financial position, to predict and manage new and existing risk, to meet the requirements of registration. These are just some of the activities that are supported. Think of it as an investment in your organization's infrastructure and future rather than direct investment into your current operations. The maximum grant available at the moment is $50,000, including GST. Project can run up to 12 months. However, we do recognize that in some circumstances, youth capability building may take a bit longer, and that's fine. Extensions are an automatic door, and people need to make their cases, but we try to be as flexible as possible. Again, please keep talking to our team to make sure that we are supporting you and your project as well as the capability project that you are undertaking. The full grant amount is a one-sum payment when you sign the agreement. You are not waiting to milestone payments or reimbursements. That means that you can engage your advisors and get work underway without the cash flow pressure. It does, of course, comes with accountability, and you will need to report on how the funds are spent and how the unspent funds, the project, are needs to be returned to the program, because again, we will have another 2 funding rounds. So everything that the program is not worked into this round will go automatically to the next round. So it's not get lost at all. So, and of course, the last one is the approved supplier list, which is a key feature and special feature of this particular program. This is a registered, pre-vetted professional advisors ready for you to engage them directly. And now we're going to talk about them a little bit later. So who can apply? So the program design was very deliberate in regards to the eligibility. We wanted to make it as broad as possible to reflect on the diversity of the community housing sector. Registered community housing organizations of all tiers are eligible. It, of course, looks very different how the capability is built depending on the level, but the program is designed to respond to those differences. The program or the project is also open to Aboriginal community housing organizations and Aboriginal controlled community organizations, and they are explicitly included and encouraged to apply. We talk more about priority weighting shortly, but I want to be clear upfront, this program genuinely values Aboriginal-led housing solutions, and the assessments framework will reflect on that, but I'm going to talk about it a bit later. We're also looking at encouraging emerging and aspiring community housing organizations to also apply. If you're working towards registration or building towards your first housing delivery, you don't need to be fully registered to access this funding. The grant can be a meaningful step forward towards that registration. We won't pretend that it will cover everything for you, but it can lay down the groundwork and make your journey a lot more smoother when you're ready to make that move and to register. One of the goals of this program is to help organizations to get registration in a stronger position with the right foundations in place at the right time. We want organizations to feel genuinely ready when they submit. The one consistent requirement for all the organizations is that they need to operate in Western Australia and is either delivering, actively preparing to deliver social and affordable housing. So if that's you, please keep listening. Planning to deliver as well. So again, it's just the emerging and aspiring organizations. So the capability focus areas, there is 5 areas, and this really the heart of the applications. And I want to spend a little bit more time to explain these because it will be a really important part when you're designing application for the grant. There's 5 capability focus areas that your project must align with. The first one is finance. This covers a wide range of activities, including but not limited to financial modeling, cash flow forecasting, funding strategies, and financial risk analysis. It's also be about building the financial knowledge and capability within your organization, not just getting the model built, but understand how it is used and how it is maintained. If your organization is planning significant growth in housing stock and you're not confident in your long-term financial projection or would like to have more support on that, this may be your focus area. The second is business planning. This covers a wide range of activities, including strategic and business planning, preparing business cases, options analysis, forming partnerships, building internal planning capabilities, implementing tenancy management systems. If your organization has ambitions that they are backed by a solid strategic roadmap, if you're considering significant partnership or structural change, this may be the right fit for you. The third is asset management. This covers a range of activities, including developing asset management framework, asset planning, lifecycle analysis, maintenance, program, portfolio, performance monitoring. This also covers preparing for strategic asset management plans, which are often required for registration and demonstrating readiness to funders or government partners. So if you're managing growing portfolio but don't have the system or need the systems to be improved or need the framework or need develop a new framework, this may be the right area for you. The fourth is risk management. This covers a wide range of activities, including understanding, managing, monitoring, and mitigating business risk, financial risk, governance, and policy risk relevant to your housing and operational needs. The growth plans, risk management often gets treated as compliance rather than genuine capability. These grants, sorry, just lost the slide. This grant is an opportunity to change that and to build the skill and framework for your leadership team needs to navigate. The fifth one is registration assistance. Again, this is the wide range of activities, including developing policy suits, procedures, business plans, and government's framework. We also had some questions around if it can be more than 100%, even if you are, for example, going for registration assistance. You can also say that you may want business planning attached to it because you need to develop a new business plan for the registration assistance because you're doing a new organizations or an SPV. So that too can be actually linked together if that's what you would like to do. Again, multiple options are here. We're having a conversations with a lot of the organizations and we talk about their aspirations and what they would like to build. Please reach out to our team. We are here to support and to write area or areas. So you can actually nominate more than one. The focus here, choose will shape what you can do later on and how the grant can be applied in your own organizations. So make sure that this is the one that needs to be set right with your leadership team or with yourself when it comes to the grant application. So what are the eligible expenditure? There are 4 categories that you can apply for. The first one is the preferred one, which is going to be professional advisory service. So you know what you need to do. We have the approved supplier list, which I'm going to talk about it in a second. These are pre-vetted advisors who have been assessed by CHFWA for the expertise, professional standing, and cultural safety capabilities. Engaging an advisor from the list is more straightforward path because it will be easier. They already approved and you can engage them directly and there's no additional assessment required before funding is released. However, you are not required specifically to choose that. So if you're engaged with a longer you have an advisor that you have been, but for example you're parking them because you don't have a cash flow to actually work with them on certain projects, we completely understand that. Again, we want to acknowledge and respect the diversity of this industry. So if you're using you have an existing relationship with an advisor you trust who has the right expertise, you can nominate them in your application. But they will need to go through the same vetting process. So just let us know. We will contact them. We're going to do our checks. And the funds won't be released until they are vetted. However, that vetting process is quick, as well as we are not, if your application will not be put down or anything like that, just because you're using your own your own supplier. You just need to vet them through first, so don't have to worry about that. The second category is a internal dedicated personnel, and it has a specific area in the application form, which are releasing us today. So please feel free to download. That is the application form, but please don't send it to us before 1st of July. But we wanted to give it to the industry to make sure that you can prepare and do your own processes when you need to, not rushing in that 2 weeks while we are open. But there's an internal dedicated personnel approach that we had took on. For this situation, where the best way to build that capability is through a dedicated internal role, someone's focused specifically on the project, not pulled from multiple directions and businesses as usual demands. So they are focused on this particular project, or part of their work is focused on that particular project. This needs to be time-limited role for the project and with a fixed term and the defined deliverables. You need to provide the CV and qualification and the application time, how much time, of course, they're going to spend on the project. And this is not a mechanism to fund existing staff or backfilling positions, but I'm going to get into that in a second. So you can fund that person's time while they're delivering that project, but it has to be well defined in your application. But the evidence you need to give is their CV and hopefully their qualification. So we're not going to, we trust our stakeholders. We know that they know they're putting this person forward because they are at the best place to deliver that particular project. The third category is the systems and digital tools, which we got a lot of information about, but people already required a lot. And we're happy to say that for the capability project, if you require a new tool or digital tool like tenancy management platform, financial modeling tool, asset management systems, then you are able to get that system. However, one thing that we will not cost is the ongoing licensing and subscription. So for example, you want to implement a brand new system and the provider comes back that you have to, it will be 30,000 ongoing licensing and 40,000 to implement. We will pay for you are able to apply, not we pay, you're able to apply for the $40,000. That is the implementation. The ongoing cost, you need to demonstrate that you're able to pay going forward. The fourth category is a minor delivery cost, kept at $5,000. This covers things like printing, also advisor, anything that you need to support this project from your end. So we want to acknowledge that doing these projects also costs time, also costs resources from the organizations. So you can apply for up to $50,000. Just make sure that if you're requesting $10,000 and asking for $40,000 with this project delivery cost, I will probably go back and encourage you to maybe apply for an internal project personnel, because it sounds like the project costs more to you to deliver it than actually getting the system or getting a advisor. So just be mindful. It's up to $50,000, 10% of the full grant that you can apply for. Hopefully we can do better next year, but I just wanted to acknowledge that we know that this is also costing the organizations, and be very grateful that they take up this opportunity. So now I go a little bit into what is not eligible. General operational costs, so rent, utilities, insurance, standard IT support are not funded. The grant is not subsidizing running organizational costs. Some projects may be already underway, and they are generally not funded. However, if the work being funded represents a very clear, distinguishable new stage or a stage that you can manage, then you can apply for it. So we are not saying no to existing projects fully, but it has to be very specific and explain how that is going to uplift the capability of the organizations and what is the end and the beginning of that particular stage. Salaries for existing staff. Existing staff are not eligible. Capital works, construction, property acquisitions are not eligible. Cost incurred before the funding agreement is also not eligible. And activities already funded by another source, respectively, also not. And if you are in doubt on any of this, please, again, our team will be here for the next 4 weeks to make sure we can have as many conversations as we can. If you're unsure what's eligible, what not eligible, we can very clearly clarify that for you. So please feel free to reach out at the team at Community Housing Future, chfwa.org.au. But we hope that we give you enough space to think about, because again, this is not about your operational financing or operational services. It's about that infrastructure. It's about the strategic and governance side of things, where often and not, sometimes the funding is missing or cash flow is missing. Now we are releasing, or we're hoping to support organizations to have that funding to do that very important work of capability uplifting. Now, the approved supplier list, which is a very special feature of this grant. Hopefully, it will take some of the guesswork out of it. We know not every organizations have the experience to engage with advisors. So we have a pre-vetted advisors list that we're going to launch on the 15th of June on our website. And again, we will send this information to people who registered today's event or all the events. We will make sure that you are up to date with that. You are able to browse filtered by capability areas. So again, that will be the focus areas: finance, business planning, asset management, risk management, and registration assistance. And read the supplier profile for each advisors, and they will tell you the background and the approach to cultural safety. Every advisors on the list already been through our assessment process, and that means that you can engage them with confidence. Not just, they are independently evaluated, not just they have put up their hands or you find them on a research. And the assessment covers relevant expertise, professional standing, and it's also designed for the advisors to, showcase what they can do. The decision, though, is entirely yours. We are not promoting or endorsing any of them. You can browse the risk, have the conversation, get the quote. Again, you will have around that 2 weeks. So the first 2 weeks, and again, we will talk about that, how to prepare. First 2 weeks, we are about make sure you went through which focus areas you are going to approach and want to get funding for, and how you want to have that delivered, advisors, internal, or systems. And again, if you want to nominate your own advisor, absolutely right, but they have to go through the same vetting process. What we do ask in both of these cases is that you demonstrate value for money, that you have done your own due diligence, and you can show that choice is well-founded. And that has its own area of the application where you can express that and showcase or tell us how you're going to do that or how you have done that. How applications are assessed. So there is 6 areas. First of all, the biggest one is the growth and impact. Assessors of the grant panel will ask, will this project materially improve the organization's ability to deliver more social and affordable housing? Are the outcomes are clear, practical, and achievable? And this is where you need to be clear and very concise. Don't talk in generals about wanting to be better. Talk about what you will specifically be different for, what decisions you will be able to make, what risk you will be able to manage, what housing you will be able to deliver as a direct result of this project. Then you had the finance and budgeting qualities. 20% of 20% carries around 20%. Your budget needs to be realistic, clear, consistent, and proportionate to the scope of the work. Every cost needs to be eligible. So, that's why I went through, and that's why we have that extra $5,000 to actually have that. We don't ask you to very to define, but up to $5,000 you can request that. You can request additional funding for yourself, but again, just making sure that you're very clear of all the budgeting items. Then you have the capacity to deliver is also 20%. This is about whether your organization has the internal capacity to deliver. Is it the right project lead? What is the time commitment? How you will oversee the work of advisors? What governance is in place? Assessor wanted to see, or the grant panel want to see, just that this is a focused project for you. This is an important project for you, but you're also able to deliver on that. Purpose and alignment. Does the application clearly identify the capability gap? Does it demonstrate how the gap connects to organization housing growth? And this is about clear messaging about how you're aligning this project with what your organization needs, as well as what this program is trying to achieve. Readiness and timeliness, 10%. If your organization genuinely ready, are the milestone realistic? And the grant panel, are your advisors are experienced enough to make sure that they are able to deliver in this timely manner. Be honest about what's realistic and if there are any dependencies. And again, please keep a chat to us if you need any extension, but that's not the preferred way. We love to keep the project in 12 months because this project itself, the whole project, has a 3.5-year period. So we want to make sure that we provide that support to so we provide that support to that. And then finally, the priority and equity is where priority is given to Aboriginal-led organizations, Tier 2 and Tier 3 CHOs, as well as organizations in regional and remote communities. If your organization falls into any of these categories, please make clear slate in these applications. One more important note, eligibility is assessed but not weighted in scoring. That means you can, that means, again, you are Western Australian organizations, you are delivering, wanting to deliver, planning to deliver housing in social and affordable housing in Western Australia. Tips for a strong application. There's some, making sure we are clear about your capability focus areas, specifically evidence-based responses score much more favorably than general statements. Before you submit, make sure that you can clearly and confidently answer 6 of the questions, which is the capability focus areas. We will have 6 questions in all the different weighting areas, very clearly address. Attach supporting documents that add genuine and weighting, like strategic plans, also supporting letters, and please read the guidelines carefully before you start submitting. I was hoping we give enough information, But again, this is our first round, so I encourage everybody, if you have any questions, please reach out. We are here to support. We are here to make sure that your application has the best foot forward. Again, the grant panel that we are working on to bring online right now will be making the final decisions with the endorsement of the steering committee, but we're also here to make sure that the industry is supported in making sure that we have most of these projects underway, hopefully by next year. Reporting requirements, again, we listened. We're trying to keep it as simple as possible. We have a 6 months check-in. Then we have a final finance report. So again, what did you spend? How much did you spend? Is there anything unspent funds? Then the final equity report. And we are working on this because we want to make sure that there are two things that is available for organizations. One, a physical report that they can complete online in a Word document, but also we are open for more storytelling as well as recorded interviews and conversations with the organizations to make sure that we respect the different ways that organizations love to express themselves. So we're working on the equitable report side of things to be more flexible. And again, we are here to support. So if any organizations have any issues in regards to the financial reporting, we want to make sure that they are submitted. We want to make sure that you see the outcome. And we most importantly want to see your organization succeed with this project. So hopefully that keeps it very simple and clear, and we won't bother you too much to do the work, but at the same time, we also help you to tell the story of how this program benefited, how your organization benefited from this program. So very quick timeline about the grants. We're trying to be as quick as possible. I think yesterday I got the comments that Henrietta, I see everybody pushing out timelines. You're bringing in timelines, because I actually corrected one of the one of the slides when I said no, it's actually not September. We are making decisions in August. I'm trying my best because I understand myself, coming from non-for-profit, the funding is needed to deliver these projects, and everybody wants to get on with things. So 3rd of June, which is today, we're launching the guideline and the full template, a full application template. That's it. That's the real deal. That is the application form. What we want and asking organizations who are considering is the next 2 weeks before we launch the approved supplier list, which again, your vetted approved advisors that you can engage with this grant, or you have an idea of why you want to engage, who you want to ask for that support or for that work that you need to do. And then on the 15th of June, you can start having the conversations with your suppliers. On the 1st of July, you can start sending it. You can start sending your application forms. You can start sending your support letters. You can start sending, the full application in. In between and even during, while we are open for the applications, I would like to ask if there's any questions and you feel like this is not for me, or I don't know how to. Any questions really that come up, please come to us. We are here to support you and your organization and every step of the way. Then in July, August, that's when I will work with the grant panel as well as the steering committee to make sure they are supported to make the decisions about the final list, and as well as the organizations that are endorsed to receive the funding. And hopefully early September, we will start announcing who got the grant, also the organization who did not get the grant, and what else we can do and work with them on their capabilities. And hopefully in October, November in 2027, we will start the first equity reports, start to see the first equity reports returned, and hopefully seeing some of the project outcomes and deliverables. So hopefully it is a quick turnaround. So again, we are here to support, we are here to work and walk with you on this journey. But we are also hoping that this boost will give that additional support for your organizations when it comes to delivering capability building projects. What is next? Firstly, we have 2 more webinars. So I just want to be very clear on this webinar is really important because we're launching the guidelines and the templates. So you are the first one to hear about them, how to start building the picture of what capabilities you would like to work on in the next 12 months. But next week, we have very lucky to have the Paxton group, Michael coming from the Paxton group, to actually work it through what does that really mean when it comes to capability uplift. So how to best spend $50,000 on your organizations when you have certain issues, when you want to work on certain aspects. So I'm hoping that Michael will bring a lot of the examples of that. So if you have XYZ issue, this is how much you need to spend on, and this is how you can best utilize this grant for your organization. So I'm hoping that we are bringing more examples about what this program and what the grant can do for your organizations when you are well defined of what projects you want to deliver. Then finally, we will have a drop-in sessions with no slides. It will be just me and Grace, my colleague, and answering any additional questions that you may have missed or you may come up with because, obviously processing the grant yourself. So that will be 16th of June, next on Friday, 10 a.m. online. All of them are online. So we're not doing any face-to-face. But again, if your organizations, especially in the metro, we would love to see you. We would love to meet with you. So please let us know. If you're in the regions, I'm very happy to say that we will be returning to the regions as soon as we can. And hopefully we can have that conversations, even if it's not this round, hopefully for the next round, which is next year in 2027. So what's next, and what we would like to encourage everybody to do who attended is download the guidelines and application form today from our website, chfwa.org.au. Identify your focus area and how you want to approach that with the eligible expenditures. Then engage the advisors after the 15th of June. We launched it and get a quote from them. And then submit your application after 1st of July. So there is no ranking. If you wait a couple of days as well, as long as the application is in by 5 p.m. of the 15th of July, 2026, we will take everything. And just to let you know, the way we work with the grant panel, what we are doing, the eligibility checks, we will show every single applications, regardless of if they meet eligibility or not meet, even then, we will be showing it to the grant panel. They know that what the grant it needs to achieve. They know the rules, but we wanted to give that flexibility because the grant panel will have industry experts from interstate, as well as lived experience experts and professionals from Western Australia, as well as somebody from the government to bring it all together so they can have those solid discussions. Whilst we are ranking and we have an whilst we are not ranking, but we are processing, we will process everybody and we will give that all to the grant panel. So we are not the one making our decisions. We are just checking eligibility. But even then, if you feel like your organization is not meeting the eligibility, even then your application will be presented to the grant panel because they may know something that we don't. So we don't want to, they have to make their own case then. So it's going to be a lot of making my case in the next couple of months. But we wanted to make sure that we are as open as possible and support the industry as much as we can with what they're presenting to us. So now I think I rambled on enough. Would love to have some questions. And again, Carrie, if anybody had already some questions, would love to hear. Maybe start with them first.
Yeah, I'm just going to press stop on our recording.
Yes, thank you.